It has changed. Did I ever tell you the story of the first time I ever sparred?
No.
Oh, it was some dick shit, dude. But this is how it was back in the day. I try to tell my wife, Charmaine, all the time what MMA training was like when I started compared to now. Because the word's out now. People are starting to understand that those shots have long-lasting effects. Because MMA is such a new sport, the training modalities have really evolved a lot in the last 10 years as it's become mainstream. But back when we started 15 years ago, people would just sparring day was like every fight was an amateur fight essentially. I mean, you had sometimes the headgear, the shin pads, and the fat gloves. Maybe they made you wear 16 ounces, but that was it, man. And if people threw full power shots. And my first time sparring ever, I was terrified, right? I mean, I'm 18, 19 or something. I was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but I hadn't done any sparring. And I'm at the Adrenaline Training Center in Canada. That's where Mark Hominick and Sam Stout trained, and they had some other UFC fighters. It was a Sean Tompkins gym, a Boss Rutan affiliate. And it was the first day, and I was going with one of the coaches. So my first round ever was with one of the coaches, so I thought I was good, right? Because if you come into my gym and you train with me, I'm the safest person you're ever going to train with. There's no way I'm not gonna lose control. Like, even if I head kick you, it's just I'm gonna touch you, tap you, right? I'm not gonna even throw that shot, but if I did, you're fine. Same thing. If you roll with somebody, you roll with the black belt, you're way safer than rolling with the white belt.
Right.
Like, I mean, without question, right? And so I go with and it's a boxing round. They say boxing only, right? So I'm like shitting my pants. I'm terrified because I've seen the sparring. I know what it is, and I'm really nervous. And so I kind of like throw some jabs and try to stay away. And the first strike this fucking dude throws at me is such an asshole. He gets me in a tie clinch and knees me right in the solar plexus. This is supposed to be a boxing round only. I was getting hazed, right, for my first day ever by the coach. And so it was like a liver shot or a sternum shot, clinch knee. And I'm on the ground for 45 seconds.
Been there, yeah.
Can't catch my breath, like can't even I'm panicking, right? Because like when you get hit in the solar plexus, you can't inhale.
Right.
So your breath is just stuck. And so I'm fucking panicking and freaking out. And then I literally just like by the end of it, I kind of roll over onto my knees and I'm trying to catch my breath. And I was like, I thought it was boxing only. And he goes, sorry. And then proceeded to get up and fuck me up more. My first day, my first round ever with a coach.
But that's the old school way,
dude. Man.
But look, we got to put context out there. Like, MMA wasn't always like for profit or for commercial. I mean, like training. It was just a sick group of psychos.
And this was a fighter gym too.
Especially at a fighter gym. It's just a weird group of guys. It was a weird group of people that trained MMA when I started. Like, we kind of normalized, and eventually like normal people started to walk through the doors. But when I first went, it was like it was a weird group of guys, And that first day, that was kind of like, let's see if this guy really wants to be here.
Yeah.
Like, let's see if we're wasting our time on this guy.
I think that's what it was, but man, I'm just not. That's bullying.
Yeah.
And from my perspective, that's bullying.
I
you
think
can
with
build
strikes,
people up to that.
With strikes, it sucks, Because I remember like you would walk through the doors back in the day, and they'd hard wrestle you, they'd hard roll you.
Yeah.
And then like the guys who really wanted it, they'd be like, yeah, that was fun. I want to come back tomorrow, And they'd be like, we got a fighter. Right?
Yeah.
That's how they knew back in the day.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I guess maybe it's just follows along the line. I'll give you a fucking even grosser story. Oh God! Again, when we training back in the day, right? So I'm 16, and I just started with my high school wrestling team. I was training at PHS in Parkersburg High School, and when I started wrestling in high school, we were like top 20 in the nation every year that I was wrestling there. So like it was a big, like 20 state championships, like top 20 in the year every time that I was in high school there. And I literally remember I walked up as a sophomore, grade 10, first day of wrestling practice. And, I just kind of ended up fucking around. And I'd done like 2 years of wrestling up to I started when I was 13 or 14. So 2 or 3 years of wrestling before that. But I'm in high school now. I'm training with the big boys, right? And I start wrestling with this guy who was a bit of a dick. And then I didn't know what this was at the time. One of the guys goes, check his oil.
Oh, no.
And I was like, I didn't even register in my head what the fuck he meant. And then, he's like on my back trying to break me down. And then all of a sudden I feel this dude's fingers go up my fucking ass. And he starts, he didn't penetrate, but it was enough to be like, whoa, and I like roll over and freak out. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And they all thought this was hilarious. And I'm like, oh my God. As I think back to what it was like to train when I first started compared to now, like even Charmaine asked, I made a joke about checking oil or something the other day. And Charmaine's like, did people really do that? And I'm like, hold on, I got a story for you.
Yeah.
Happened to me directly my first day of high school wrestling.
That's pretty common though back then.
Oh
Yeah. So in the States, I mean, the term exists for a reason, right?
You can see pictures. If you
Yeah,
look up online, you will see dudes knuckle deep up other dudes' assholes in singlets.
Yeah.
from like in college matches and shit from checking oil. Like,
there's a lot of dirty stuff that happens in wrestling. You don't see it from a distance, or you don't know about it unless you're a wrestler. Yeah,
things like that.
There's a lot of. I mean, people say the wrestling doesn't have strikes, bro.
If you snap down somebody, on the back of the head,
those dirty elbows in the pummel, like those
Head
collar
butts as
ties.
you're rolling through.
Yeah. Everything, chin in the eyes, like all kinds of dirty stuff.
Yeah, we used to do this drill in wrestling where you'd put your arms behind your back and then you're basically pummeling in for head position.
Yeah.
So like, you have head position under my chin, right?
Right.
And then I have to roll my forehead back under your chin, and you're just trying to establish that head under the chin pressure, right, to stop them from being able to get down.
Right.
And it would just turn into like these fucking headbutting matches where you would do that. And then I told a story of I had this high school wrestling coach called Troy Owens. He was this little black dude, like little skinny ass black dude, 55, 60 kg or something, really skinny dude. And he had this fucking Brillo pad of an afro on his head. And he would get you into the collar tie, and he would take his afro and just grind it in your face and on your nose and on your mouth. And then by the time that you were done wrestling, you would have burns just like all over your face. And he would keep it shaved down really low. So it was like a wiry Brillo pad that he was rubbing on your face and shit.
Yeah, wrestling's a rough sport, man.
It's the roughest.
That's why, I guess it can be if it's in every high school and you don't have to pay for it. Like, there's no way you'd be able to sell that to the public, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Not the way we did it.
No.
Definitely not the way we did it.
I still say to this day, I'm 30. I've fought pro MMA. I've fought jiu-jitsu competitions, Muay Thai, kickboxing. I've still never trained as hard or had hard as practices as I did when I was high school wrestling.
High school wrestling?
Yeah. I mean, that was the highest I ever wrestled. Then I started doing jiu-jitsu. And, but even still to this day, those practices were nightmare fuel. Like, even to this day, even pro fight training camps were not as hard as some of those wrestling practices, where they would deliberately try to make you puke.
Yeah.
Like, it was disgusting. Shout out to PHS Wrestling, by the way.
Wrestling is pretty brutal, man. I gotta say, though, I think that